Oh, let me see. Today's what? January 6th,
It's 6th.
1983.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And this is an interview with Mr. May I interview you also?
What?
May I interview you also?
Yeah, she tell you more than I can.
I doubt that.
Yeah. Mr. and Mrs.
She's older than I am, so she knows
I
me.
am not.
H.W. Barrick. Mr. Barrick, where were you born?
Missouri,
In Dallas County?
Dallas County.
When's your birthday?
3rd of June.
August.
August, yeah, 3rd of August. 3rd of June is when I was married.
Don't get those dates confused.
I don't care.
What year?
1890.
1890. Who was your father?
Charles Barrick,
What'd he do?
a farmer.
And who was your mother?
Sarah Barrick,
What was her name before she got married?
Heifel,
Heifel?
yeah.
How long did you live in Missouri?
Well, I was only there till I was 9 years old.
You go to school there?
Yeah, a little while. The years I was there, went there for about 4 years.
What was the name of the school?
Well, one of them was Goss School, but I don't know the name of the other. Hatfield. No, Hatfield. Oh, I don't know now. That's been too long ago.
What was your favorite subject?
What?
What was your favorite subject?
Favorite doctor?
No, favorite subject in school?
Oh, I liked geography and history is about the best of any.
Was your father in the military?
No. I was in the First World War,
Mm-hmm. When'd you come to the Panhandle?
1912.
1912. You come by train?
No, I come a muleback.
Muleback.
No, I come in a wagon and pulled with 4 mules.
Did your whole family come out?
Yeah, the whole family. That is just me alone. I was the only one.
You were a family of one?
That was a family of one. That's right.
How come you came out here?
Just to get more land, get hold of some land. And
Were they still homesteading then?
yeah, I bought a relinquishment, and I bought a feller out.
Who'd you buy out?
I know, but I don't know now. That's I forgot who. Albert somebody. No, sir, I just can't recall his name. No.
Where was the land?
It's northeast here, 20 miles.
Do you remember anything about the trip? What was the most memorable experience on the trip out here?
Oh, no, it's just routine coming in a wagon from down.
Well, didn't you come out ahead of time and look at that relinquishment, Father?
My father, he had filed on a claim down in Harper County, down east here. And the land got so high there, the father couldn't buy it. Kid growing up, he couldn't buy nothing. So I come out here to got some cheaper land.
How much did the land cost?
What?
How much you pay for the land?
$225 a quarter. I paid them $225 to relinquish it back so I could pile on it.
For 160?
160.
What kind of house did it have on it?
Had it half dug out.
Is that what you lived in?
That's what I lived in.
How big was it?
12 or 16.
How long did you live in the dugout?
4 years. Then I sold that out and bought a quarter 7 miles northeast there so that I be closer to Elkhart, and then it'd be in a more open country so I could buy more land around me.
And there was a well on it.
The
There
what?
was a well on that.
Yeah,
one.
there's a
And
well
he
on the
had
place.
No well. He was carrying one.
There wasn't no well on the place that I filed on.
Mrs. Barrick, I know it's not polite, but when's your birthday?
September the 7th, 1898.
And you were born in Missouri?
Born in Missouri.
What part?
Union County.
Well, in
No,
eight,
Union.
8 miles out of Unionville, but Putnam County.
Yeah, that's right. That was Putnam County. That's right.
How long did you live there?
6 years.
I expect I was 2 years old.
Who was your father?
V.O. McCoy.
What did he do?
Oh, jack of all trades, farmer mostly. Fair blacksmith. What kept farming?
Everybody that come to this country is just farmers.
Who was your mother?
Ida Farrago.
What's the last name?
Farrago. Pherigo.
How'd you come to the Panhandle?
Well, father came out here and homesteaded.
Yeah.
And then he came back and got us. We were in Grinnell, Iowa. So we took the train out. Mother didn't die coming out, but she came off on the earth because it always made her sick to ride on a train. Well, father shipped a team of horses and a cow and our furniture in an immigrant car. And another man there came with him. He was going to come out here and file and stay. And so they had to look after the stock in this immigrant car, and that left Mother with us 2 children alone. And she just got sicker and sicker and sicker. When we got Texoma, they carried her off the train. She couldn't get off. And they took her to the doctor there. And he said, well, he said, I never saw anyone just die from riding before, but he said, if you'd had to went much farther, you wouldn't have lived. And I can remember part of that as it happened. But I was, I don't know, 7 or 8. We came in June, I wasn't back till September. And I can remember some of that. But there was 4 or 5, I believe, wagons with teams that started out to hunt for the land numbers where they homesteaded. And you could find the corners then because the markers were all new and was in there. Some of them were rocks and some of them were metal. And Dad could read those numbers on them and nobody else knew what to do with them. So we started, and the first night we had to camp, and it rained, my goodness gracious, and they had the wagons round in a circle with wagon sheets over, trying to keep us dry, but it wasn't a very dry night. It was a very uncomfortable one that you set up. And they thought, well, that's a different start from what we usually get. But everybody made it through the night and got back on the wagons the next morning and come on to find the land. We didn't get to our land the first day we left Texoma, but we did the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother's father and stepmother had a wagon, and that was C.E. Farrago. And then Uncle Riley Farrago was with us. And I don't know whether I can think of the man's name was with us. And did belts come then, or did we have? Well, somebody had two wagons because Mother drove a wagon. And either there was another one along or we had two. But Mother drove the wagon.
Excuse me a while.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a very different country we stopped at. And when we stopped and found our place, we were on this side of the road and Grandpa Farrago was over here. And there was bells on this side. And I don't know who this corner was. Their house wasn't down there at the corner. Their house was up the corner from the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't remember their names. But you was just out there afoot, and there was lots of things that was so different from anything any of us ever seen. Of course, we were raised in Missouri and Iowa where there was trees and where there was creeks and things, and this failed to have something. But the rain the night we would stay all night had left lakes, and there was the curlews came in there where some men wanted to shoot them and eat them, and they was poor eating. I can still remember how black and tough that meat was.
What were they?
Curlews. They shot them.
Yeah.
And brought them in, wanted them cooked. They thought if you was going to kill anything, you was supposed to eat it. But there wasn't very good eating. Nobody made a practice hunting curlews for meat. But they were a queer-looking bird. They had long bills, and they looked different from anything us Easterners had seen.
Mm-hmm.
My brother and I tell him we drowned it out of around prairie dog, and he says we didn't. So I don't know, but we was carrying water, and the women folks hauled most of that water, and they hauled it from. Daddy, what was the name of the well down there by it? I don't think I'm going to tell you that either. You know where we hauled water from that was 5 or 6 miles north there? What well was that?
5 or 6 miles north. Where?
Of D.
Of D.
Yeah.
Oh,
By
that.
Danny, there by where Danny Hagen.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, do you know the name of that well?
I can't think of it now. Willowbar's down there in that lake.
Well, we didn't haul water from Willowbar, that was farther. But we did haul water from that other well.
No, I can't think of it.
Oh,
It wasn't Midwell.
no, that's south.
Huh?
That was south of us.
Yeah.
Wasn't U.S. Mill, was it?
Huh?
Was it U.S. Mill?
Yeah, it was the U.S. mill.
No, that wasn't it.
I think the government was
Well, it was the
No, it
cattle
was a-
well.
a cattle company
Cattle
from
company.
France or England or someplace that had thousands and thousands of cattle in this, and run on through here.
And there were a few wild horses still
There's
here.
still a few cattle, but them cattle still up in the edge of Colorado up here when we come here.
Was that the British Cattle Company?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was.
Maybe, I don't know.
How far was your father's land from Texoma?
What?
about 20 miles.
Oh, it's farther than that from Texoma out to Dee.
You know, Texoma is 45 miles from where he went to, but he is 6 miles closer, 7 miles closer, and you'd be around 40 miles from where he filed it.
But they had the store and the post office there. My grandfather had the store, and Mother was the postmistress of the post office.
What was your grandfather's name?
C.E. Farragut.
Did a little town start up there?
Well, just a store and a post office was
Them little stores scattered all over this whole country then.
Well, they pretty much had to be. Folks couldn't go to Texoma after groceries. However, I think my father went every week once and sometimes twice to bring supplies for the store. But it would take him all day to go down empty, and then maybe he'd get there in time to load up the supplies that was needed and then drive back the next day.
How often would he go to the store?
To Texoma?
Yeah.
Well, he went once every week and some weeks twice.
When you first arrived in Texoma, how long did you stay in Texoma?
Not very long. Just as quick as we could get the cards. The cards all had to be unloaded. But so you could turn them loose, you would pay them for them by the day, and you turned them loose as fast as you could. Now, I don't know what they did with that stuff, because Grandpa Farragut and Uncle Riley's were both there with the immigrant cars, and they had to put it somewhere. You couldn't take it all out the first trip, I'm sure. But I don't know what they did with it before they loaded it, got it all hauled.
What is an immigrant car?
Well, it was what the railroad called an immigrant car. It was just a big car with nothing in it.
Just a big box car?
Yeah,
It's a big empty box car. And I think they built their own, whatever they used to keep animals in, and mangers and things to feed from. They had to bring feed for the road. I don't know how long it took that car to come. I don't know how long I think they were unloaded once, anyway. They, every so often, them animals have to come off of them cars. And I think they unloaded once. But Father had 2 horses. If I can think of the other man's name, I can almost say it. He had 3 or 4. And he had a cow or 2, and we had a cow. And we had chickens. And we had a dog. I don't know whether he had a dog too or not. But anyway, animals had to be tended, and they had to build their own sections for these animals. And then their furniture went the other end of that car. The one car brought both families, so it was a right big immigrant car.
Where did you go to school?
First school, I guess it was at Mrs. John Hilton's. She taught us 3 months at subscription school. There was no school then organized with a county or anything. We just paid so much. And she taught us reading, writing, and arithmetic. We didn't have much choice in our subjects. Just old books, whatever you happened to have, you studied.
Where was the school building?
It was on where they lived. They had a dugout there that they wasn't particularly using for their family, and so they just emptied it, and she used it to have. And I can't remember a thing about what we used for desks and seats. I think they were just boards. I think it was board seats, because there was my grandfather and grandmother. They had 2 grown sons there at home, and they went to school with the rest of us, and a grown daughter there. but everybody went to school. At least it was something you could do. And there was the two of us, and then on up the road, everybody gathered there, and we all went that last mile alone. It was just a mile to it, and we walked. And the winters were open. We didn't have any storm that winter. The first year we was here at Christmas time, the men were out looking at the ground and thinking what they was going to plant as soon as springtime come. And it was very different from what it is even now.
How did you survive that first winter? Where'd you get your food?
From Texoma, and the store, of course, was just across the road.
As a little girl, what kind of chores did you have to do?
Oh, you had to feed the chickens. I don't know how old I was before I took part in the milking. I never minded the milk. My brother just soon take a whipping. There was always something he could do that didn't include milk. So I learned to milk first. And I just soon milk as anything. But we began pretty early in life doing chores that had to be done. And my father was a firm believer that you learned how to do those things as long as you was able to handle them.
How about laundry?
Well, I was
That
done the
works
hard
on a
way on
board.
the board.
Did you do it outside?
Well, I
think you had to go in the well house, didn't you?
we had what they called a smokehouse. We didn't have a well house at OD. We had a smokehouse with a cellar under it where we kept milk, where it was cooler with a building on top of it too. And because that was where Mother was a churning when she killed the coyote. Of course, we kids wanted to pick up everything that was loose and make a pet out of it. Well, we tried this coyote that they got out of the den, a young one. And you know, they don't tame very well. Mother kept telling us that coyote was killing her baby chickens. Well, we were just sure that coyote wouldn't do that. But that's a smart coyote. He'd back up. He was chained to that house. He couldn't get away. But he'd back up, just get as close to the house as he could get. And that his pan was out of the way. And that old hen and chickens had come up there. And he'd wait till they got busy eating out of his plate. And boy, he'd get a chicken every trip. He never missed. And Mother heard a chicken a-squawking. And she let out of that cellar. And she got out there with him while he still had the chicken. And that was rough. Because she had turn dash in her hand and she just beat him to death. She broke turn dash, but she sure killed the child. Those kinds of things, you can still think of them. We thought we was ruined for life. We had a pet prairie dog, though, that was the cutest thing, and it was cute. Because you could come in and call for that prairie dog by name, and wherever he was, he'd jump up and bark. He answered you every time. Sometimes we had a hard time knowing where he barked from. We could find him. And he must not have been a very dirty pet, or Mother wouldn't have put up with us in that prairie dog. But we kept him mostly in the house, and then when the next spring came, he dug a hole out in the yard and had him a home out there, which was just fine, only that he wasn't afraid of our dogs, and somebody came to the store there with a big old brown dog, and he got the prairie dog before he could get to the hole. That just about ruined us. We never had another one that tamed and got as gentle as that one did.
What other chores did you have to do?
We didn't have nothing but cows and horses. Had to clean out the barn, and I hated it. That's the thing I can remember the best about that.
What'd you burn for firewood to make a fire?
Well, we burnt some cow chips, but we had coal usually. We had a topsy stove with the oven up from it that baked biscuit. My father thought he had to have biscuit every day. We always had biscuit for breakfast. He would settle for cornbread for the next meal, but that first one just had to come biscuit to start with. He didn't eat bread. And
Where was the coal brought in from?
Texoma. I
Texoma.
don't know where it came from to Texoma. But we always had coal. I can't remember ever doing it without any. Those little old monkey stoves, you didn't have a very big firebox. You kept building a fire after a little while. But a little coal after you'd get a fire started in it. But I hadn't hold a lot longer.
Mr. Barrick, what kind of chores you have to do?
Oh, just regular chores around the farm home, taking care of the stock and milking and stuff like that.
There was 10 of their family, the children, and everybody worked.
Did both of you butcher your own beef?
Yeah, we used to butcher our own beef.
Killed our own hog.
We butchered our own beef out there on the farm up to 1940. But since they've got all these freezer boxes, so it's easier to take care of.
Mrs. Barrick, did you make head cheese?
Mother did.
Did you help her?
Yeah, I never could quite get away not having. And my father insisted the ears had to go in the head cheese. He wanted that little bit of gristle. And oh my goodness, it was hard to clean. Ears was hard.
What all goes in head cheese?
Well, I think we just had meat. And we had a different kind of a head cheese that they put cornmeal in, but most of the time ours was just meat and a little broth. And sage and salt and pepper is all I can remember Mother ever putting in head cheese.
Let's see, we used to make souse.
That was what they put the cornmeal in.
The what?
How,
That's what they put the cornmeal in, the sauce.
how do you make that? How do you make that?
I don't know.
I don't know what to make it out of. Without it.
Well,
The head.
you put the meat and the broth in, I think I can guess close, and stirred that cornmeal until it got so thick, and then set it and let those pans set. Then when you got ready to eat it, you sliced it in slices about half, 3/4 of an inch thick, and rolled it in cornmeal and fried it in hot fat. It wasn't so bad, but it never took the place of our head cheese that we made, that we didn't do all that.
We didn't eat high on the hog when we first come here.
Well, we always had hogs, and they would have to be one to butcher because my father liked pork.
Just making a living's about all we was doing. And staying. I know my neighbor just across the road from me, Frank Miller. He told me one day, he said, Neff down there asked him one day how long the kid was going to stay here. That is talking about me. And Frank had told him he didn't know. But Slim's been dead, well, Miller's been dead now for several years. I'm still here. And that's been a long time ago, about 70 years.
Do you two remember the Depression of 1907, 1908?
No, I can't remember the thing.
No, I don't.
Mrs. Barrick, do you remember Statehood Day?
I should remember it, but I can't. Well, we were off out here.
Yes,
and there wasn't anything.
oh yeah, I remember a little bit about that. The banks would let you have $5 to buy a few groceries with. If you have money in the bank, you could get it $5 at a time to maybe $5 a week to buy some groceries with.
Mm-hmm.
I don't,
What was the price of cattle at that time?
oh, I don't.
Well, I don't know what the price of cattle in was. I sure don't. But I know that in the 30s, I was sheriff there in the 30s, and a good 3-year-old cow, a white-faced cow, was $15.
Mm-hmm. When did you two meet?
I don't know. She don't know that. She's there.
I'm sorry, right.
I
I think
I expect 1913 or 14, maybe 13.
When did you two meet?
I don't know. She don't know that. She's there.
I'm sorry, right.
I
I think
I expect 1913 or 14, maybe 13. No, I expect she's 13.
you was helping Dad pull broom cart.
Huh?
You was helping pull broom cart.
I think we met over there at David's.
Might have been. We both went to David's.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Barrick, did you go to St. Louis in 1904?
No,
That's the World's Fair.
Yeah, no, I didn't know.
Well, when did you two get married?
17.
How do you pull broom corn? Okay, how do you pull broom corn?
You take hold of the boot with your left hand and your right hand with the brush and just keep it
Pull
going.
breaks off at the bottom. Leaves you a stalk above the brush out so long.
How tall does broom corn get?
Well, it's different size. The standard grow way up there, up as high as the ceiling.
About 8 feet?
Yeah, but
It had to be
the
pulled.
dwarf would only get up around 5.5 feet.
Now, what part do you make the broom out of?
Up
The
the
brush.
The brush.
Yeah,
And there is a stalk above that. Where
and
where-
them stalks is most worthless of anything in the world. They ain't any good for feed. To feed the stalk.
What do you do with the stalks?
They just cut them up and work them back into the ground.
cattle don't do very good.
What kind of crops did you plant?
I don't know.
Wheat. When I was farming out there, wheat's about the only thing that I raised.
Yes, but we didn't when we first
But
came to this.
I rented my land out to a boy out there, and he farmed maize and wheat together.
We planted maize back then, and we planted cane as a feed for cattle. Then one year we didn't have any, and Dad stacked Russian thistles after they got big while they were still green. That was quite a chore. Them things stick. But he's had his stack of Russian thistles stacked out there to feed the cattle, and they eat them up before spring too. Meat no feed is talk, but I don't think it was extra good. We didn't do that but one year. That was all Russian thistles we tried.
When did you get married? What was your marriage date?
The what?
When's your marriage date?
June
19.
1970.
June 3rd. Did you get drafted?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
He went into service in February.
Where'd you take your training?
San Antonio, Texas.
Fort Sam Houston?
Mhm.
What What, were you just an infantry soldier or what?
Infantry. That was about all there was them days. Well, the artillery too, but they didn't have these planes and things like that they fought with so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, they used some of them, but they didn't. The boys that flew them, they didn't even have parachutes or anything. Whenever they shot down or they hit and the plane caught on fire, I've seen them jump out way up, maybe several thousand feet high. They jump out of the plane to keep from getting burned up. And they know that when they did, well, it was death.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me what training was like at Fort Sam?
No, just marching and just round and around and around. You just first learning how to march.
Do you have bayonet training?
No, I never did have any of that.
Mm-hmm.
I never have any of that. There's I was a runner, taking the messages from the company headquarters to the battalion headquarters. I was on that all the time that I was in the Army about it.
Mm-hmm. When'd you go across the water?
I don't know now. In 19.
1918.
1918, I guess is when it was.
But I can't think of the month. And I should.
It is February the 24th, 1918.
Well, that's when you went into service.
Huh?
That's when you went in. You went into service. When did you go across?
Well, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of them, and I should think of the month because I was down there, you know, and you was afraid you was going to be shipped out.
Seems like it's in June, but I don't know. I ain't going to say for sure.
Well, it must have been the last of June or the 1st July.
Where did you leave from?
San Antonio, and then I went from San Antonio to Hoboken, New Jersey, and got on a boat there at Hoboken.
You went by train?
No, yeah, I went by train to Hoboken. And
Did you
then
come up through Oklahoma City on the train?
It seemed to me like, I don't know.
How long did it take?
I don't know that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been too long ago.
How long did it take to get overseas?
It took us 13 days to cross. We got on the boat and was on the water 13 days.
Anything happened on the trip?
Yeah, we had a storm. Now, I'm telling you that it was bad. One of the ships got crippled up. It had to go back to Nova Scotia to get repairs. But we went on.
Seeing the U-boats?
Huh?
Seeing the U-boats? The German submarines?
No, I don't know if I ever seen one of them.
Where'd you land? In Europe?
We landed at in England. Brooklyn? Seemed me like that. And then we went from there on a train to Southampton. And got on a boat and crossed the channel.
Where'd you land in France?
The Havre.
What unit were you in?
90th Division.
What company?
Company F.
What battalion?
357.
2, 3,
357.
357?
357th
Yeah.
Battalion?
Infantry.
Yeah.
Infantry.
I suppose that was battalion. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
The 90th Division, Company F 357 was his address.
Can you tell me any experiences you had in the war?
What?
Can you tell any experiences you had in the war?
No, well, it's too dangerous.
Been too long.
Mm-hmm. How long were you in France?
Year.
A year? Can you tell me what the trenches were like?
What?
The trenches? You know, in France, the trench warfare.
Oh yeah, I was just working them a whole lot.
What was a trench like?
It was just a trench about so wide,
3 feet.
and then it'd go right down through miles and miles and miles. And it zigzags. You'd go a little piece straight, and then you'd dodge over here a little piece, then go back down that way to just zigzagging through the country.
How come they were zigzagged?
The what?
How come they were zigzagged?
It shows that if a shell would light in the trench, why it wouldn't get so many fellers. You see, if it had been straight, why them would explode in a shell. It would go quite a ways down that trench. But till if it zigzagged, why it'd stop that.
Were you a messenger?
Yeah.
Ever go over the top?
Yeah, a lot of times. Yeah, we was into it right up to the finish.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 6 months in Germany, Army of Occupation.
Where at?
What was them place?
I don't think I can tell you. I've heard you say a lot of times.
Sometimes I can think of it, and sometimes I can't.
Did you get to Paris?
No, I never did go to Paris.
Were you in Belleau Wood?
Yeah.
Seemed like that sound is Bellewood was right around in there, pretty close. But I don't think that I ever got there. And I can't think of that town that we was in up there in Germany.
I haven't thought of it.
What towns were you in France?
I just sure can't tell you. Well, Havre is the only one that I know where we landed. And then we wasn't in many towns, just little places around it was named, but we was in the woods all the time, in the trenches.
When'd you first see the Germans?
The what?
When'd you first see the Germans?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. What were some of the battles you were in? The major battles?
I was just plumb slipped my mind.
When'd you come back to the States?
I got home 19th of June, 1919.
Were you in any of the big victory parades in New York City?
You know, I come straight home.
Anything happen on the trip back over?
The what?
Anything happen on the trip back to the States?
No, he come straight through, no trouble at all. Just, and then I forget what little town down here in Arkansas. What town was
I don't know.
I discharged
You
from?
was discharged all right in
And
Arkansas.
down here in Arkansas,
Wasn't Fort Smith.
we landed down here in Virginia.
Newport News?
Newport News, Virginia is where we landed when we come back.
Can you tell me what Armistice Day was like?
It was just
They couldn't
the
even-
Germans. They just fought clear up till 11 o'clock. I'm telling you, the boy that was with me, and we change off taking messages, and he'd leave, and the way they was shelling, I didn't see how in the world he ever got back. But neither one of us got hit or wounded, either one. But it was, the shells were bursting all the time, pretty sure.
And it all stopped at 11 o'clock?
Stopped at 11 o'clock. And I was in the shell hole waiting for more messages, and some fellas they come up by and they seen me, and they said, "You can get out now, the war's over." And I said, "I'll just stay here a little while."
Did all the shelling just stop at one time?
The what?
Did all the shelling just stop at one time? All the fighting?
Just putting there on the minute. Just you didn't see how it could happen that way. It was 11 o'clock, 11th of November, wasn't it?
You ever see General Pershing?
Oh yeah, yeah, I seen him last time.
When you came back here, you became a rancher again?
Uh-huh.
Back to-
Yeah, I went, we got here the 19th of June, and my father-in-law was harvesting wheat. And I went into a header barge, yeah. And boy, I wasn't no good to all. I couldn't stand it. I didn't have no muscle. Hadn't been doing anything. We were just loafing around for 6 months.
What kind of house did you all live in at that time? 1919.
We had a dugout, 12 or 16, 2 miles east of where my father-in-law was. And my father-in-law was working, and he wanted me to stay and help him with that the work for till that fall. And so we stayed with them till that fall, and then we moved back down on the farm.
So did both of you live in the dugout?
Right?
Just,
I mean, just you two lived in the dugout?
Yeah, we lived in the dugout for, well, all the time. We had lived on the farm. We lived in the dugout. We had one, when we were first married, it was 12, 16. And then we built one, 20, 24 by 32.
Half dugout?
That was a basement.
we fixed it for
And
the
then we
house.
concreted that up and covered it over, and we intended to build a house on top of that. But we never did build it. I went into the sheriff's office, and we never did build on that at all. And then when I came out of the sheriff's office, I had bought my father-in-law's place up there, and it had a good house on it, and I lived there.
What made you decide to run for sheriff?
Well, some fellows asked me about it, and I got to studying about it, and so I just finally decided to run.
Who ran against you?
John Skelly and Ben
The
Acock.
first time was Ben Cox,
Huh?
wasn't it? The first one that run against you was Ben Cox.
No,
No,
John Skelly.
it was John
He run against me in the primary, and Ben Cox was in the general.
in the general.
What year was that?
19 and 24.
How many votes did you win by?
John Skelly had just beat him 3 votes.
3 votes.
3 votes. He is a Republican, and I was a Republican, and he had been in the assessor's office a long time, and everybody knowed him, and I thought he was going to be hard to beat. I just beat him 3 votes.
How come you won? You know why?
No, I don't know why. Well, I think that the reason I won is he drank quite a bit. And I think that cause there's some fellas come seen me from way over in the southwest corner of the county, and I lived up in the northeast corner, and they come up clear over there to see me after I announced against John, and I think they do John drink pretty heavy at times.
Where was the sheriff's office in 24?
What?
Where was the sheriff's office in 24?
Right here.
Was this courthouse built at that time, the new one?
That it was built in 4 years later. It finished up in 1928, and the courthouse was in, and the jail is down where Okla store is now. It is right there on the corner where Okla store is, where the courthouse and the jail was right back of it.
Can you tell me some of your experiences of being sheriff? Your most interesting experiences?
That was moonshine days, them days, and bootlegging, and lots of thieving.
Who was the biggest moonshiner in the county?
Well, I don't know which one was the biggest, whether it was the Daces or Highlands, but there's both big bootleggers. I've caught them several times.
Would you tear up their steel? Or
They'd get out and go right back at it.
how long would they spend in jail?
All from 30 days to maybe 6 months. Sometimes they get 6 months.
Would you tear up the steel?
Huh?
Would you tear up the steel?
Oh yeah, yeah, tear the steel.
They had to start over.
Yeah, I've got as much as a ton of sugar at them steels, and I'd have a sale, county sale, and sell it off here at the courthouse.
How many times were you re-elected sheriff?
Well, I was in there 14 years.
14 years?
Yeah.
Who are some of the most famous or infamous people that you rounded up?
Oh, I don't know. I went I'd go just pretty every place for prisoners. Went down to Alabama and clear down to El Paso, Texas. And, I'd go around pretty every place for prisoners.
Any trouble with cattle rustlers?
Oh yeah, yeah. They steal cattle.
Were they outsiders or were they local ranchers that were?
They'd steal them from the ranchers, and then they'd put them off on wheat pasture someplace, and they're hard to find. But the boy up north here, a fellow named Bob Okla, I caught him for stealing cattle, and they sent him to penitentiary for, I don't know how many years he did get for that, but he sure didn't want to ever go back.
Mm-hmm. What about, someone told me about the Kohler stole a bunch of stuff from the railroad.
The what?
The old man Kohler stole some track from the railroad to build his dam up here. Are you familiar with that?
I don't know about that. I don't know what you couldn't keep track of him. That old man Kohler, and he'd work his boys into it.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. Barrick, did you do any work for the war effort during World War I?
How much? I taught school the year he was away, year I was third school. And they sell stamps and things from the schoolhouses. And we would run little programs for them.
What'd you teach?
Just grade school.
Just grade school? Can you tell me what the Depression and the Dust Bowl was like in this area?
Well, it was awful dirty.
It was bad. I'm telling you, it was bad. You drive your cars and in places, and the dirt would settle right on your lap in the car. Just when you get out, where you'd just be dust all over.
Mrs. Barrick, how'd you keep the dust out of the house?
You didn't. Every once in a while, you cleaned the house before you got breakfast. You couldn't possibly cook it.
Yeah, you have to clean the house every morning before breakfast.
And you couldn't cook. You couldn't do anything till you got the dirt off.
No, it was bad.
Did you try to seal the windows or tape them up or?
You taped them, you put rags in all the cracks, you done everything you could think of to keep out a little dirt. Still it came in. You thought maybe it came right through the glass. You didn't know.
How long would a dust storm last?
Well, that was the only thankful part we had. They usually stopped at the end of the day. We'd usually had it a day at a time. Then if it come up again after it stopped and blowed all night, then that was horrible because you knew what you was getting up to the next morning. It was going to be worse.
And it wasn't a day, but what it wouldn't be hardly any wind at all. That dust would be a blowing. You could it just
After it got started,
everything,
so
all the vegetation had been covered up, and it was just dust. That's all it was. You just moving all the time for years.
How about the Depression? Did that affect you much, being sheriff?
The what?
The Depression?
Well, he made 125 a month.
What?
He said, how much did the Depression affect you?
No, it didn't bother me too much. I was in the sheriff's office, and it didn't bother me too bad. Of course, after when I wasn't in, I wasn't in the sheriff's office. I'd work for a filling station up here and get $16 a week.
Did you?
When I wasn't in, wasn't in the sheriff's office. I'd work for a filling station up here and get $16 a week.
Did you all have plenty of food during the Depression?
After what?
Did you have plenty of food during the Depression?
Yeah, we never went hungry.
Yeah. Did you raise any cattle while you were sheriff?
Oh, no, I just was a sheriff. I had my land out here and I had it rented out to other people. I never farmed. I just was a sheriff.
Were there soup lines here in Boise City?
What?
Soup lines? No. Everybody here had a lot of food then.
Yeah.
Well, I think everybody. I can't remember.
They got
we came out.
down to where they couldn't. They just eat love on anything. I know I went out here when I was sheriff. Had a snowstorm and I killed I don't know how many jackrabbits around on the route. 15 or 20 big jackrabbits. And I got rid of all of them when I got to town. The people are just sure glad to get them.
Mm-hmm.
At least it was meat.
Yeah.
I think there should be something put in. Father was an awfully good shot. He can pull his 6-shooter, drive the car 30 miles an hour and kill a jackrabbit. And the rabbit running.
Mm-hmm.
I know when the oldest boy saw him do that the first time. Now that just has to be an accident. Nobody can shoot. Up an awful lot of shells again, so they can do that. I expect he did. I don't remember that part.
What was your most interesting case?
No interest.
Your most interesting case or most interesting person you rounded up?
I don't know.
How many times did you get shot at?
I think once.
Who was that?
I don't know the boy's name. He was right after I first went into the office out here to northwest. I don't know just what his name. I forgot it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
I took several guns away from fellas,
Mm-hmm.
but it never was shot at but the one time.
When did you leave the sheriff's office?
In January 1941.
What'd you do then?
I went out here on the farm. I made good too. I made good crops. Yeah, beginning 1939. After that, them storms, them Dust Bowl days, and I made good crops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I made good out there.
But he worked hard.
What'd you raise mainly? Wheat?
Wheat,
Wheat?
yeah.
That's when we went.
I think I planted a little bit of maize a few times, but not like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had planted barley. We milked cows for grocery money, and we'd raise barley and grind that with maize and wheat and feed it to our milk cows.
Mm-hmm. When did you move into Boise City?
What?
Well,
1924. Last part of January 1924 is when we moved.
Oh, when you were elected sheriff.
Yeah, when I was elected sheriff.
Did you move back on the farm in 41?
In 41, I moved back on the farm.
Yeah. So when did you move back to town?
we
In,
spent 15 years in Idaho there.
we went, farmed out there for 7 years. And then we had a boy that had asthma. And we had to get him out of there. And so we took him to Idaho, and we lived up there 15 years
What part?
at Nampa.
What's the name of it?
Nampa.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 20 miles west of Boise.
Mm-hmm.
And
The boy got married
then
and left us, so
we-
he wasn't kept there any longer.
the boy out on the farm there, he was running the farm. He had to have trouble with his heart. So we come back here to help him in 62. And we moved into Boise City here in 62.
What'd you do in Idaho?
Well, I had several rent houses, but I think I had 4 rent houses there that I rented out, and I'd work for farmers out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice place to live. I liked Idaho.
How big was Nampa?
I think it's 8,000 when we moved there, but it got up to around 20,000 before we left.
Mm-hmm.
It was growing pretty fast.
How many kids do you have?
We had 3 boys and lost one in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
One of them lives out here on the farm and the other one lives in Nevada, Boise City, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
He works for the government.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, do you all have any comments about your childhood or moving to Oklahoma?
No. We've got one great-grandson. And here I am, 92 years old, and a lot of folk have great-grandkids before they're older than that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we have a good interview. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Barrick, was he a good sheriff?
He was a very conscientious sheriff. That came ahead of most things.
How was she as a sheriff's wife?
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's see. What was your reaction when he first said he was going to run for sheriff?
I can't remember when he told me that. I just don't have any idea what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know whether we had a chance in the world of doing anything like that or not. We was a long ways off one corner of the earth.
Mm-hmm. So the main people you dealt with were the moonshiners and the...
What?
The main people you had to deal with were the moonshiners and the cattle rustlers?
Yeah, just grain. They'd steal us grain.
It wasn't very high price then either, but it was, if you got it free, you could make a little money at it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I had to, what I hated the worst was I had to sell so many of these farmers' land here. They had mortgaged them, before the 30s. And in the 30s, they wouldn't raise no crops at all, and they couldn't, nobody could pay off anything. And I had, about every Monday morning, I'd have several quarters of land, or maybe a section of land to sell. All fella couldn't pay off, and they foreclosed on them. That's what I hated the worst.
Mm-hmm. You had to go out and serve the foreclosure papers?
Mm-hmm.
Who were some of the most prominent people here in Boise City that you remember?
Oh, I don't know. Ed McMahon was one of them, and I.E. Hill, but they're both gone.
Jack Johnson.
Huh?
Jack Johnson.
Yeah, Jack Johnson, he's gone.
Did you know Boss Neff?
But
Did you know Boss Neff?
no,
Yeah.
no, he was at Guyman.
Mm-hmm.
I know his daughter. She lives right up here. in
Yeah,
town.
Miss Graham. Yeah.
We she was taking treatments at Guyman, and my wife was too, and we go down there about twice a week together down at Guyman.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mr. and Miss Barrick, want to thank you. I think we have a good interview.
Talking to you.
That's all right.